going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video, and today we're gonna have a quick report about what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons training camp and all the injuries starting to pile up. And looking at what's going on, despite not playing a lot of these guys in the preseason, we had that long talk yesterday about that. We still got guys that are getting injured in practice, and um, it could be something that we really need to start to think about what Atlanta Falcons will do. Are they going to make any moves? Um, and we just got to talk about it, guys. It's starting to pile up right now. I don't think it's too much of concern. We still don't know about what's going on with Caleb McGarry. Going to talk about that in just a minute. How long it's going to be out, but at the same time, it's starting to get kind of worrisome, and we just need to go ahead and get to week one and get this thing started because the guys going to be falling off like that. They just need to do walkthroughs from now to the end of the season, and let's get there healthy. That's pretty much what we need to do. So we're going to talk about that, and then we'll have a quick report about what we heard from practice today. I think this is the last, practice where the media is going to be there, and these guys going to start prepping for Tampa Bay. So, we're not going to get so much reporting about what's going on in practice anymore. Let's talk about it. So, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here that I talk about. Then please share my video throughout YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get into it. The big news today, and let's talk about the Falcons injuries, right? So the big news today, that our right tackle Caleb McGarry, the guy just signed another 2-year extension with the Atlanta Falcons, actually went down with an injury, lower leg injury, what was reported, and he had to be carted off the field. Now we know when a guy get carted off the field, most of the time it's not good news. But the seriousness of the injury, we don't know yet. They're going to do an MRI on it. Pretty sure by now they know because they have all that stuff there at Flowery Branch. We just haven't gotten a report yet. Like I said, hopefully it's not season ending or anything like that. But that's just unfortunate for us that Caleb McGarry had to go down. So that's not a good thing for us. And then when we talk about other injuries as well, so of course we heard a kind of strange comment from Raheem Morris today, and I think if all of us have been watching the last preseason game, he said he felt comfortable with the depth at offensive line. Right, that's what he said today. This was before practice, and he said he was felt comfortable with the depth with the offensive line. But if you have been watching the preseason games, the inability to run the ball, in the first two games, they had a better turnout in the second game, of course, against the Tennessee Titans, but still, if you think about all the injuries they sustained, the way the offensive line looked in that first half of the Titans game, it wasn't something to write home about. Of course, you got guys developing and things like that, like Jack Nelson, and some of the other guys, but some of these guys are veterans. So, it's just really disturbing to see the offensive line fall apart like this. Now, Storm Norton is another injury. Apparently, he had surgery on his ankle on Tuesday, and they're reportedly going to put him out for 6 to 8 weeks. So, he was our designated swing tackle there for the Atlanta Falcons. What's going on, Atlanta, Georgia faithful? Yeah, so you know, Storm Norton was our swing tackle, and he's going to be out as well. So this really starting to be concerning at that position, at that spot. Now I know that when you think about, you know, Michael Penix being a left-handed quarterback, like his blind side, I don't think that was too major of a concern because they do a lot of stuff out the pistol, so he's not having his back turned so much to the right to that left right side like that. However, you know, Caleb McGarry was a excellent excellent run blocker, right? So I think that's going to be something that might hinder the run game just a little bit. Him and Chris Lindstrom, that tag team duo over there on that right side, Bijan run behind those guys a lot. So I think that's going to change a lot, man. I'm just being honest with you about it. Now, when Caleb McGarry went down, it was reported that Elijah Wilkinson took his spot. Right now, he's a veteran in this league. He's played a lot of games in the NFL, so it's not like we got somebody that's a novice there, or somebody that's inexperienced. But Elijah Wilkins himself just had two um, false start penalties himself in the preseason game, which credited to that terrible second half. First half that the Atlanta Falcons had on the offensive line. So when Raheem Morris said that he thinks that he's good with the depth, it really been to be tested, because the fact that Storm Norton, our swing tackle, is out for 6 to 8 weeks. We don't know the extent of the injury of Caleb McGarry. You got Elijah Wilkins there, who's he's not terrible, but I don't know if he's starting caliber for us, and so that's it's going to be interesting to see what happened here. So I'm like, you know, just the offensive line. That's one of the things that we going into the regular season was 100% sure that we had a really really good offensive line. Now that we don't, especially at that position, it's kind of unsettling. It really is. Some people said Matt Bergeron played tackle in college, but I think he has got solidified at that left guard position. I don't know if you want to mess with that right now, right? So, in my honest opinion, I think the Atlanta Falcons probably need to see, can they make some kind of deal in free agency or make a trade or something. Right? They do have cap space. Um, Georgia Texas boy said, "What's up, Falcon family? The area is here. We'll rise in 2025, see beyond." Yep, that's the plan, man. That's the plan. Kevin says, "Rise over Connor. Hopefully, getting all the injuries out the way for the year." Yeah, exactly, man. It's crazy. And then the fact that he's not playing guys in the preseason. I mean, you could probably multiply some of these guys. They did play in the preseason. Injuries gonna happen. I mean, it's a physical game, man. Big human beings, running around, doing the things they do. Physicality, man, will against will. It's gonna happen. That's just a fact. It's gonna happen. So when we thinking about that, you really can't. There's nothing you can actually do about that. But put your faith in Elijah Wilkinson. It's man, I don't know if they really want to do that. Like I said, I think Raheem Morris was, just trying to breathe confidence into his backups on offensive line, because he thought he was good, there with the starters. But now he's really gonna be tested. Like I said, swing tackles out for 6 to 8 weeks. Now Caleb McGarry, being carted off, it's gonna be really hard to determine, who's going to be at that position. Right now, it looks like it's going to be Elijah Wilkinson. Um, but I think the Atlanta Falcons need to actually make a deal. So let me look and see how much money they got under the cap, so we can kind of um, see what something they could be able to do, because that's the next step, right? Can the Atlanta Falcons go out and do something? I mean, even if they have to go get somebody just to fill in that spot, especially if you're gonna have a guy. So Atlanta Falcons got $7 million of cap space. So yes, they do have the ability to actually go out and actually get a guy, right? Who's out there? We definitely kind of look at that. Look at that. Do they need to make a trade? Or I'm not sure if anybody knows any solid free agent tackles out there that Atlanta Falcons can look at to bring in. But This is a big deal because your starting right tackle is out. Like I said, you can talk about his pass protection, you know, that it's being, not as good as it need to be at times. But as far as a run blocker, he's one of the best run blockers in the league. And pairing up with Christian Instrument, man, when Bijan and Tyler run on that right side, man, those guys are dominant. They are really dominant. So he's going to be missed. Hopefully it's not season ending, and hopefully he'll be back. But in the time being, these guys got to go out and boost up this offensive line because, like I said, your swing tackles out. See, we had the swing tackle Storm Norton come in and fill that role. He filled role pretty well the last couple seasons when either one of our tackles went out. But this right here is not good. It's the fact that he had surgery on Tuesday, so they don't actually have him to come in and fill that role. Kevin says, any wideouts in the second tier group that are showing promise so far in camp? I'm going to talk about some of those guys in just a minute. A deal would be nice. I agree. Wilkerson will have to do it for not serviceable, but did not have a good showing. Yes, like I said, he's a veteran, man. Elijah Wilkerson is not like it's a guy that's don't have experience, and he's been with Atlanta Falcons before, right? So I'm not going to say he's a turnstile, right? He's not, but he got 8 seasons. 8 seasons. He's age 30, right? So, like I said, he's a veteran in this league. So it's be somebody that we could depend on, but I don't know if you want to put all your eggs in a basket, you know, to try to get things done with Elijah Wilson on that right side. Um, that's really scary to think about. And there you have it, guys. So we got the offensive line out the way, but those are not the only injuries that we need to talk about, right? So today, Taquan Graham sat out. Another guy that's nursing an injury. Carter Hodge sat out. Another guy that's nursing an injury. We know about Clark Phillips the third, a guy that's been out. Him and Carlos Washington could cost both of those guys a spot on the 53-man roster. If you look at my projection yesterday, I did not have either one of those guys on the Carlos Washington and Clark Phillips the third. Neither one of those guys made it because of the injuries. Ray McLeod didn't practice yesterday, came back today, but however, it was reported that he got up kind of limping on in the practice, so we don't know if he's going to be 100% going on. So it's like the Atlanta Falcons starting to fall apart in certain places, and it's kind of scary, man. Let's just be honest with you. But all those guys, hopefully, they precautionary reasons why some of those guys are sent out. Guys like TQ, guys like Cardell Hodge, whatever's going on with Ray McLeod. So of course, Troy Anderson still on the PUP list. He was mentioned today by Raheem Morris saying that he's on schedule. No guarantee to be back by the first week of the season, but he's progressing on the way back. So those are some of the things we talk about. So not some of our key guys, but guys that was going to really contribute to this team this year that's out, right? Only guy that's really concerning right now is Caleb McGarry. And yeah, man, we never want to see that, but that's football. That's why you have to look at your depth. Like I said, Raheem Morris today talking about he believe in his depth. Well, you finna be put to the test, or is Terry Fontenot and crew is going to go and make some upgrades? I think they have to make upgrades anyway. The fact that Storm Norton is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, and like I said, we really don't know what's going on with Caleb McGarry. We'll find out something here soon, probably no later than tomorrow, and then we can get an update and see what the Atlanta Falcons kind of moves they're going to be able to make going forward. But there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think about these Atlanta Falcons injuries, right? I think they could really be detrimental. No key guys went out yet, and now you see why Raheem Morris is so so reluctant, even how much it pisses the fans off. He's reluctant to put these guys out there in meaningless games, right? People say practice is mean, but practice is not meaning because you go to practice like you play, right? Utilize the practice to get you ready for the games, and you take those practice serious, and then you won't have to get out there in preseason and do that. I mean, the way he look at it, he think he's seen enough, and he don't need to see anything else in preseason games for those guys. But guess what? They still falling down, falling off like flies. So, um, let's just hope, we could get something done there. Um, let's see. Let me see who's available at tackle. Yeah, look it up for me, man. I'm already on here. See if we can talk about somebody that's potentially out there. All right, so let's talk about what we heard from practice today, right? So let's do a practice update. Um, let's go to the defensive side of the ball first. So CJ Henderson has really flashed his first two practices um, for the Atlanta Falcons, right? This is, like I said, it was a former first round pick, number 9 overall, came out the same draft with AJ Terrell. So this guy here has the potential, and I know Raheem Morris really likes what he's seen so far. The question is he going to be able to do enough to take over some of these guys that don't put the blood, sweat, and tears in, from OTAs to training camp and all that stuff. So, but he actually picked off Michael Penix Jr. today. It was really good interception if you watch the highlight of that. But his last 2 days, he has really flashed. So CJ Henderson is coming in and making an impact. You're right, and that pedigree of being a first round pick is actually showing on display. So um, he's really gonna make it hard for the Atlanta Falcon coaching staff and front office to figure out, if he's earned a spot on this team. He's going to play a lot, in the preseason game on Friday. So we'll get to see, if he could, make his case even more known what he does in the game, right, in the preseason game. But he's trying to play for a position. You know, I did my 53-man roster breakdown yesterday, and I had Natron Brooks in there. So it's going to be interesting to see if, and that's with 6 cornerbacks. So if CJ could do something special here, you know, you don't want to let talented people walk off. Just be honest with you. So it's going to be interesting to see. He's definitely way behind in the playbook and things like that, but already making plays. Like I said, first 2 practices, he flashed on both days. So I'm pretty sure they like what they seen from C.J. Henderson. So really big ups to him. So let's talk about Natron Brooks. Natron Brooks, they really like what they seen for him throughout camp. He's probably had a really, really good camp. That's why I pulled him in to be on my 50-man roster projection. And today they would put him in at nickel position. So Raheem want to see what he's able to do at the nickel position. So he's gonna do a little cross train there. All through camp and everything, he was on playing on the outside and did a really good job out there. But you know, they put him in a nickel position with the offer with Billy Bowman, right? Trying to get to see his versatility. The more you can do, for your squad, the easier it is for you to make the team, right? Because your versatility just stands out. So, Nathan Brooks going in trying to do some nickel today, it's really, really good for him. And you love to see that from him. So we just talked about CJ Henderson and maybe why they moving him inside the nickel, because they like what they see from CJ Henderson on the outside. That's really interesting to see. But we're probably gonna see Nathan Brooks play some nickel this this last preseason game, right? Um, Billy Bowman, he spoke today. He's really, really confident, about his progress he has made throughout training camp. And I like the kid, I really do. I like the way he play. I like his mentality. Um, a guy that's not scared to put his head in there to make plays. Being that force, being an extra linebacker slash slave safety out there making tackles in the run game. A guy that I think will be really, really good, doing those blitzes, those corner blitzes coming off in, that nickel slot position. I think before the end of the season, he's going to solidify himself as the starting nickel. right? It's a big transition for him. You guys got to remember he played safety in college, but his athletic ability, like I said, his ability to come downhill. Um, you want somebody to be physical at that position, right? You definitely do. You want somebody to be able to cover as well, but you really like the physicality that he showed. His ability to read, read those screenplays and come downhill. It's been on display this preseason. So we're definitely going to. I don't know, how much run he's going to get this last preseason game, but that's definitely going to see. So, those three cornerbacks, right there, Billy Bowman, Natron Brooks, and C.J. Henderson, is really, was really talked about today. Um, Offense side of the ball, Casey Washington flashed again. I think he probably solidified himself being putting himself on the 53-man roster, but right now with the fact that Ray McLeod went down, we still don't know the status of Darnell Mooney. I think Casey Washington is going to make a name for himself to have you know to be a big factor for us early on this season, right? He has a lot of chemistry already with Michael Penix Jr., but he has put himself in. He had another big catch today. So Casey Washington, remember that name. He spoke earlier um, this week, and he talked about you know just putting his head down, always been an underdog, just go to work, and it's paid off for him, right? Um, got good hands, like he's really got better his route running, and like I said, he's had a few explosive plays from Michael Penix Jr. this year, so Casey Washington is a guy that definitely could contribute early for the Atlanta Falcons with all the injuries, right? Like I said, we don't know the status of Ray McLeod going out. We don't know when Darnell Mooney is coming back. Cordell Hodge, like I said, he came out in street clothes today as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, um, you know, that receiver position. And early on, I think Kyle Pitts and Drake London really gonna need to be featured until these guys come back healthy, 100%, especially Darnell Mooney. So, um, but Casey Washington can really play a big role for us. So, Casey Washington is the guy that we definitely gonna be looking for. Let's see here. What's up, 330? What's up, T Terry? Yeah, man, just come in. Thank welcome you guys coming in. And like I said, I'm just talking about the injuries that been sustained for Atlanta Falcons, and until we start worrying a little bit. Right now, not. I'm worried about the right tackle position. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm kind of worried about that because I don't know if Elijah Wilkinson can hold up there, especially all season. 6 to 8 weeks. Thornton Norton gonna be out. Our swing tackle. So I really believe the Atlanta Falcons need to make some kind of move. They got $7 million in cap space. Um, I think they can make a move somewhere. If they need to make a trade. Now, if you guys recall, if you don't remember, um, that year the Atlanta Falcons went to the Super Bowl. They made a trade for Andy Levitre. You guys remember that? At left guard, and the Atlanta Falcons went off running, right? That's when they had Alex Mack at center. Um, they made that trade for Andy Levitre at left guard, and man, that was one of the best seasons. Matter of fact, that was Matt Ryan's MVP season. So and they made that, and I think after the third preseason game or second preseason game, because the Atlanta Falcons offensive line looked so bad, and they went out and got a left guard there. Now that was under Thomas Dimitroff, of course, but just trying to paint a picture. It's not where they could actually go out and make a move towards the end and still be productive. So that's where we want to see um, if they can do that. But the Atlanta Falcons definitely getting ready. Putting as many reps as they can in with their starters. In a controlled environment, trying to keep these guys healthy, even though still some of them still falling off. And getting hurt. But for the most part, you're trying to not limp into the first week of the season. That's what you don't want to do. You do not want to limp into the into the season, man. I love one thing Shannon Sharp already talking about. If you limp into the season, it's not like you're gonna get healthy, right? They got 18 weeks, and you gotta remember, bye is in week 5. So after that, right, they play 4 games, and then they got 13 straight games after the bye, right? So you want these guys to be healthy, you want to be fresh. You need to figure out how they're going to be able to, keep the bodies up. That's why the depth is important. That's why you want your guys to be as 100% as possible going into the season, because it's a long season. 18 weeks for these guys is a long season, and having that early bye in week 5 is not ideal for the Atlanta Falcons. Um, Darmar said, "How good will the pass rush be this season?" You think? I think we should be pleasantly surprised about the pass rush this season, right? Um, I don't know if it's going to come out the gate, you know, being what we want it to be, but I think throughout the season, it's going to get going, right? I think they got the right people there, right players. I think James Pierce, you know, is going to be really, really good for the Atlanta Falcons. You still got Leonard Ford there, a veteran that knows how to get after the quarterback. I think Armor Ebiketie, in his contract year is going to come out and play really well. If he can especially start off the way he left off at the end of the season last year, um, Jalen Walker, right? Just need to get on the field, but we're going to see some of that stuff we've seen from Georgia on display here. I really believe that. Braylon Trice, another guy that really flashed last year before he got hurt. We just haven't seen a whole lot. He's still making his way back, but I still really see him start coming on, right? And then we're not going to forget about Kay Nellis, his ability to get after the passer as well. So yes, I do believe that the pass rush is going to be better this year. I don't know if it's going to get out on a really good start, but I believe those guys really going to get out the quarterback. And remember, people look at sacks, but what you want to see is pressures and getting the quarterback off his spot, right? That's what you really want to see. Sacks are good. Don't get me wrong. Sacks are best, right? Because you get a sack, you got a chance to get the ball off, right, and get the ball back to your offense. But getting a guy off his spot and making him rush his throw can cause turnovers as well on the back end. So I do believe that the pass rush is going to be a whole lot better this year. I do believe that. So we'll just have to see how it pans out. But great question about the pass rush. Um, it's a lot of unknowns for this team, to be honest with you. You can't definitively say anything what it's going to be. I think the only thing that we can say for sure is that Bijan and Tyler is going to run the hell out the rock. Um, Drake London going to be consistent, right? Jesse Bates going to be Jesse Bates. AJ Terrell going to be AJ Terrell. K Nellis going to be K Nellis. Those are my guarantees, right? As long as they stay healthy, those are my guarantees. Everything else is unknown. Got a young quarterback. You expect him to play well. We all do. I mean, if he can just continue be consistent with what he's been doing in practice, I think we'll be good. So I think, the sky's the limit for Michael Penix Jr. The offensive line, one of the best offensive line, despite the fact that, we're losing our right tackle. I still think we got opportunity to still have a really good solid offensive line. And if they make a move, that will even be better. Trying to bring a guy in to take Caleb McGarry's place. But at the end of the day, guys, it's to me this season is more about, don't talk about it, just be about it. Right? We can talk it to because you can have the best team on paper, man. You got to get out and play the game. So, and they got to be coached right. They got to execute the plays that they're coached, and they can't go out and play fast and don't think. T. Terry said the Falcons need to trade Kirk for a right tackle, maybe to the Colts. I'm cool with that, man. Whatever we need to do, but we definitely need a right tackle here. However, guys, we don't know, the status of Caleb McGarry yet, so we don't want to get too far, to making a move, right? Because sometimes you get carted off, just for precautionary reason, and they were like, yeah, he'll be back in 2 weeks, right? And that's the case. We have to just ride with Elijah Wilkinson until he comes back, right? But if it's season ending, which some of us really fear, definitely, I think they probably need to make a move then. So we'll see what the Atlanta Falcons do. That's why Terry Fontenot and his crew get paid the big bucks, right? And they could definitely even be looking on the waiver wires at the cut day, as well, to see if they got any guys out there that could potentially come in and be a solid starter for the Atlanta Falcons. So, um, just don't know. Just don't know. I'm looking, guys, trying to see if any other reports came out so far. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, team. And you have it, guys. I love it, man. Cut it off. Yep. Right now, guys, it's nothing that no new reports out on Caleb McGarry. But try to come in. We want to stay positive right now, um, for the season, right? Because I think I'm more worried about the running game, than more than anything, because he's like a hell of a run blocker, man. And he really is, man. And so I think that could hurt the running game a little bit. And we want to be able to be dominant in the running game because they just open up this entire offense so we can still run the ball like we should. Um, but that's why you got depth, man. Now, if you listen to Raheem Morris, he really loves his depth. I don't know what preseason games he's been watching because the first two preseason games, those guys have not played well, um, the backups. So maybe they come out and shut all our mouths up this preseason game, and we were like, okay, they look better, but we don't know, right? We just don't know. But guys, there you have it. I really want to get your input about these injuries. Are you, you know, on the scale of 1 to 10? Let's just go there on the scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being the most concerned, and one being the least concerned. Where do you fall? Right now, I'm at a 4. Right, I'm at a 4. That's where I'm at. I'm definitely at a 4. Um, so not as concerned as I should be. Probably should have been there probably at a 5 in the middle there, but um, let's wait to see what the final outcome is with this injury, and then what we need to do is make sure that they do something. They got to do something anyway because you got two linemen that we knew was going to make the 53-man roster, Storm Norton and Caleb McGarry, right? Jack Nelson ain't ready, right? Just put him on a practice squad. He's not ready, for to be the guy for the Atlanta Falcons. He would get Michael Penix destroyed. So that definitely not him. Um, but you got the veteran like Elijah Wilkinson, guy's been 8 seasons. So definitely not somebody that just been out there, has had a lot of snaps in this NFL and has had starter snaps as well. So T. Terry said Marvis is a good car salesman. He sure is, right? Because he tried to sell that offensive line today, and nobody was buying it because we all seen what we seen, right? So, and then when you started listening to that, you be like, what else he lying about? That he's not 100% sure what's going to happen. The Atlanta, Georgia fate for my people. What's going on? What's going on? But guys, let me know. I'm just curious here, man. That was the last practice we probably gonna hear from the media. Now we're just gonna hear, reports from the players, from the coaching staff, heading into, um, you know, week one. That's what we're talking about. September 7th, week one. That's where we getting ready for that. Um, the guys have next week off. I think Raheem said after that last preseason game, they get like 4 days off. Because of course, now without the four preseason game, it's a week gap before their first game, so they get like 4 days off to go just sit back and relax and get their mind right because it's time to get it on, man. That's really what it's all about. So I'm ready. I know you guys ready. We've been talking about this crap all summer long. It's time to kick the ball off for some real live bullets. Got one more preseason game, and then important day for a lot of these players. Um, but I know for a fact, and if you know anyway the way the new NFL is working, it's actually 69 guys that they really looking at in total 69 bodies instead of 53, right? Because they utilize the practice squad to a healthy amount the last couple of seasons. So I don't expect anything different. So even though these guys are not going to make the 50, not going to make the 53-man roster, it's going to be able to um, be on the practice squad unless they get poached by another team, right? So really, 69 guys is gonna be part of the Atlanta Falcons team for 2025. Of course, you want to be on that 53-man roster, but it is because it's a little bit more money, and plus, you made the team, you didn't get cut, right? Because even though you're gonna be on the 16-man practice squad, the first thing you're gonna do, they're gonna bring you in, like we're gonna let you go. But I'm pretty sure they'd be like, yeah, but we want to bring you back on the practice squad, right? So they're gonna let them know that, and like I said, 16 of those guys is going to be notified that that's going to be important. So I'm interested to see the performance this last preseason game, but then kind of shed light because believe it or not, I think it's still some position battles going on, especially at that nickel position, um, that second safety position as well. Um, and then we'll look at some of these more receivers, man, because our receiver room, and I think we got some talented receivers. We got a question up here about some other guys as well. David Seals really been solid. Um, Drummond has really played well. Chris Blair has had two explosive plays back to back preseason games. Definitely should be have consideration as well. Um, even Skinner and Nash, all those guys have made plays, man. So I like the receiver room, but you can't keep everybody. But a lot of those guys probably gonna be back on the practice squad. So um, they're part of the team, even though they didn't make the 53-man roster. So, but guys, let's not come back on here. Hopefully, you not come back on here and talk about injuries again because that won't be good. So that's one thing that I just hopefully we're done with injuries. DeMarco Helen was in a yellow jersey today, right? So like I said, man, it's just so many guys that's got nicks and bruises, which means it's two things, guys. One thing it means that these guys are really playing. They practicing hard, right? Because to get injured in practice, that means you are practicing hard, right? You're just not going through the motions. You're actually getting it in, getting good work in. This is a good thing. And secondly, um, you see the depth on the team because when the guy do go down, you see another guy come in and step up and then making plays. So um, you gotta like that. And this team is deeper than it was last year. Definitely is. But still, you don't want to see your starters get hurt, man. It's just not, don't feel good, especially before the season even start. All right, so guys, let me know what you think about the Caleb McGarry injury, the Stornor injury, all the injuries of the guys that's been held out. Um, and let's get ready for our last preseason game for these Atlanta Falcons. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.